These soul ties got me stuck again, and I don't think I'm still in love, cause I would never let you fuck again.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. First and foremost, I just want to thank everybody who showed me a lot of love and support on the last video that I just recently uploaded. Thank you for the likes and the comments and the support. One thing that I did want to touch base on that I mentioned in the last video was soul ties. I did mention that, you know, when you're intimate with someone, that it's an exchange of energy. And basically, what happens when you're intimate with somebody, or you have sex with them, or lay down with them in any type of way, is you create a soul tie. It's basically a union. It's exactly what it says. It's a union of the souls when your souls become intertwined with one another. That's why sometimes you'll hear people say, like, you know, you shouldn't be having sex before marriage, because it's really a union of coming together. And when you're not really with the person and the relationship is over, what happens is it's a separation. And even though you guys separate, it's still a piece of that person who you were intimate with that's left with you. It's like ripping off a band-aid and some of your skin comes off with it. You know what I'm saying? But that's basically what a soul tie is. Two types of soul ties. There's sexual soul ties and there's regular soul ties. Regular soul tie is a deep bonding and connection of the soul that you may have with a friend, family, your mother or your sister or your brother. It's a deep connection with them. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced, sometimes you could sense someone's presence before they come, like someone that you're really close to. Or for example, if you're thinking about somebody and all of a sudden they just call, that's kind of a soul tie connection, and that's like some a mental telepathy, a little bit of a telepathy as well, especially if you share it with somebody that you're really close to. Now, a sexual soul tie is a bit different because it involves sex. So when you have sex with somebody, you lay down with somebody, you're basically becoming one. That's why people tend to mention that you shouldn't have sex outside of marriage, because what it's intended for back in the old days, the only way to consecrate a marriage was when the two had laid down and slept with each other. And usually around those times, in those days, the woman was typically a virgin. And, you know, I'm sure you guys know about this, like when a woman is a virgin, she has a hymen. So when she first engages in sexual activity, her hymen breaks. And what happens is blood is shed. So basically that's like a real union. It's like a blood union. And for the most part, it's basically fluid bonding, you know, when bodily fluids are exchanged between you and a person. So it really creates a deep, deep, deep connection, even though you don't want it to probably like be a deep connection. It'll create a connection between you and that person. It's a fluid bonding. Especially if you're having unprotected sex, it's definitely a fluid bonding. And that's also why, you know, people contract STDs, because when you share bodily fluids, you know, you don't know what type of health state the other person may be in. But for the most part, that's what a soul tie is. It's basically a deep union and connection between somebody when you're intimate with them. And some characteristics of a soul tie is, for example, I'm sure a lot of people within the black community and you know, in general, have seen the movie Love Jones. So in the beginning of the movie, it first started off where Nina is, you know, they're at the poetry club, and she first meets Darius, and they're at the bar, and you know, they're talking, exchanging words and everything. He's trying to push up on her, and she mentioned something in the beginning. So in the beginning, she's like, "Oh, well, you shouldn't smoke. You might want to quit smoking." But by the end of the film, she starts smoking herself. So basically, they created a soul tie with each other during the film by laying with each other and sleeping with each other.
Try not to.
Maybe you should quit smoking.
And where I'm getting at with this is when you create a soul tie connection with somebody, you end up taking on the characteristics of that person. And in the beginning, you may have not been truly supportive of someone else's deeds or, traits. But when you're intimate and when you lay down with that person, the two become one. So it's inevitable that you pick up some of their traits. And I also wanted to get back to the transfer of energy. Like I mentioned in the last video, when you sleep with somebody, it's an exchange of energy between you and that person. So depending on what vibrational frequency that they're vibrating in their life, it's going to be transferred to you regardless whether you want it or not. And you may end up taking on that energy into yourself, and it may come out in some forms of your life. Energy can only be transferred into one form or another, and that also applies to this situation when it comes to soul ties. Because there are a lot of unhealthy soul ties. People tend to get in relationships that they don't really want to be in, or some people have one-night stands, and it creates a lot of confusion and chaos because even though you're intending just to sleep with this person for one time or a couple of times and move on, it's still like you're taking parts of that person with you after after it's all said and done. Soul ties can really get toxic, and it can become a hindrance in your life, and it can really deter you. It can deter you, or it can really throw you off track and keep you from getting the blessings in your life, because now you're linked to somebody who you're not even supposed to be linked with. You linked yourself up with that person. You chose to sleep with that person, and now that person is attached to you in some type of way. Like, for example, you may have not intended on being in a relationship with somebody, but because you slept with them, you tend to grow feelings for them even if you don't want to. It'll happen. It'll pop up in some form or way or fashion. You can have sex with somebody one time, and then maybe a couple weeks or a couple months down the line, you start thinking about them. That's because you've created some type of union within your soul with them. You start thinking about them, and it's possibly that they could be thinking about you too. It's kind of like a little bit of mental telepathy, because a part of their soul is still within you. Also, you have to really be careful who you sleep with, especially if that person in the past has had many sexual partners, because like I said before, it's a transfer of energy. So basically, whatever those other energies that person was sleeping with, for instance, he or she could have been sleeping with a prostitute. He or she could have been sleeping with somebody who was strung out on drugs. Somebody could have been sleeping with somebody who had a sexual addiction. Somebody could have been sleeping with somebody who was a liar. And all of those characteristics may in some form or fashion can come out in you. Because if you sleep with the person who slept with all of those people, it could come out in you, and then you would probably find yourself lying about little stuff and taking on the energy characteristics of all the people that person has slept with. Now, for some people it may not affect them because some people have a strong spirit and they can overcome things like this. But for others, if you have a sensitive spirit, your spirit is going to be easily susceptible to all of those energies that other person was previously sleeping with, and it can make you unbalanced inside, and then you'll be wondering, why am I having all these emotions and feelings? And these emotions and feelings could be coming up with inside of you because of the people that they slept with. Those could be other people's emotions that's embedded within inside you now from having that union and communion with that person that you really wasn't supposed to be sleeping with or having a one-night stand with. When you really refuse to set boundaries with the person. If it's hard for you to set boundaries with the person, then you've created a soul tie with that person, especially after being intimate with that person. If you let a relationship constantly go on and it's really toxic and you refuse to get out of it, or you let your other personal relationships, like your relationship with your family, your kids, or anybody else fail because you have a soul tie connection to this person and it's messing your relationships up with the other part of your relationships in your life. Especially if a person that you've been intimate or in a relationship with and they're not the best person, it can really confuse you and have you making types of moves in your life that you hadn't intentionally wanted to do. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit tongue-tied today. Really, it's hard for some people to break soul ties because some people's energies are stronger than others. People vibrate in their spirit at different frequencies. Some people's frequencies are low, like, low level frequencies, like low level energies, and their spirit isn't as strong as others. But some people's spirits are really strong, and it has like a magnetic pull, and it'll be hard for you to break away. So if you want to break a soul tie from somebody, I would suggest a lot of prayer, a lot of prayer and meditation. It's important to cleanse yourself of that person in any form or fashion, and this also comes into effect, especially if you're going through a breakup with somebody. It's best that you really just pray. Write down a list of everything that wasn't good about that person and burn it. Like, do some form of cleansing. Get rid of things that the person has given you. Throw it away, toss it in the trash, whatever you have to do. Give it away, donate it to charity, whatever you have to do. Also, taking a spiritual bath. And I've done this myself. Taking a spiritual bath is just, it's good to just cleanse your body of everything and just meditate. So what I do is I put a little bit of Epsom salt and a little bit of baking soda in my bath every now and then if I feel like I want to do a spiritual cleanse within myself. And I'll just, sit and bathe in the tub. Or you can also just, take a long shower and just, pray and meditate on things. Also, is really, if you want to break a soul tie as well, the person, whoever you were sleeping with or is thinking about, block them on social media. I know it sounds petty, but the best thing that you can do for yourself is to block them on all forms of social media. Do not have communication with that person whatsoever. And I know at times it's going to be like, especially if you've been intimate with somebody, you're going to want to communicate and you're going to want to reach out to that person. But if you know it's not your best interest and you guys know that you've broken it off, just don't communicate with them. Even no matter how much you feel like communicating with them, don't do it to yourself because you might hurt yourself by doing it. So just block them on all forms of social media and move on with your life. Oh, this is what I really want to bring up. If you have a soul tie with somebody who you've had kids with, first and foremost, if you slept with the person and had a kid with them, you automatically know you've created a soul tie because basically your DNA and his DNA came together and created a whole nother person, a whole nother being into formation. Like, you guys manifested a human being here, so there's no doubt that there's some type of soul connection between you and that person. Now, when the parents decide that they don't want to be together anymore, here's how you break that soul tie. You create a very strict boundary. Keep it only about the kids. Do not text. I repeat, do not text about any other things unless it has something to do with the child. You create a strict boundary, and what you can do is, like, say if they're coming to visit. If they're coming to visit their son or daughter, you don't have to be around them. You can either excuse yourself from the room, or also, if they're coming to pick their kids up, have your kids' bags packed and ready for them to go. Do not allow the parent of your child to come into your house. Let them wait outside in the car. Have your child's bags packed and walk them outside. Hi and bye. Put them in the car, and boom, that's it. Also, another thing is sometimes you have to forgive yourself, like when you create a soul tie with somebody that really wasn't good for you, or in general, if you've had a breakup, you have to forgive yourself and just move forward with your life. Forgive yourself. Just forgive yourself and forgive that person if they've done you wrong, or even if they hadn't done you wrong, just forgive them. And just move on with your life. It just didn't work out. Some things don't work out for a reason. God may be calling you to do better things in your life, or God may be calling you into a season where He wants you here, and you can't take that person along with you in that part of your life. It's just they're not destined to go with you to that next level in life. They may be a hindrance along the way for you, if you tried to take them on the journey with you. And that can also cause a lot of confusion within your life, because for instance, you can miss your blessings by messing with the wrong person or being in a relationship with the wrong person. You can miss out on a lot of blessings. God could probably had something ordained for you, but you couldn't get to that part of your life because you was so busy stuck on Tom, Dick, and Harry, or in a relationship with Sally and Susan and Becky, that you couldn't even see what God was trying to get you to. Because you were so focused on them or in a relationship with them that it just caused confusion and you missed your blessing.
Like Mrs. America, your name is Erica, right?